Welcome to another episode of the Virtual Rehab Bros podcast. Today, we have a different topic that we're discussing. Kyle, what are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about the two different kind of pages you can have, whether it's like your business, like personal. I call your personal pages like more your business, your brand versus your clinic page. So I have my Dr. Kyle Richmond page, which has now become like where I actually that's my business. Then I have my
Yep.
clinic, which you think is a business, but that is solely for clinic based things. And I think this is where people get confused on they want to grow their page, but they might be doing the wrong one, building the wrong brand, and putting the wrong content out there. So we have to
hmm
differentiate. Like you just have your personal branded page, right?
Yep. Yeah, and then I used to, well, since I'm just an employee or an associate at a practice, I used to run the practice page. I don't do that anymore, but what I would post on that page is completely different than what I would post on my professional page or my personal professional page. So I think it's if you own your own clinic, hopefully you have two separate ones. I mean, this all goes into the strategy again. Think about what you're doing before you do it, right? So, like a clinic page is going to be more local. It's going to be more for keeping, well, interacting with your patients, of course, but kind of keeping them warm as far as like it leads and engagement goes, where you're probably going to post more of your reviews, maybe some treatment stuff. You could throw some tips on there and maybe collaborate with your professional page.
Right.
But I'm a big proponent of keeping those completely separate, and they should have two separate strategies, especially if you want one shouldn't grow much because it's local to your area, and the other one obviously you're trying to grow for an online business, so it would make sense that you're not just going to post the same stuff on both of them.
Right. I have my personal page and I have my clinic page. I have 67,000 people on my brand page. I have like 1,000 people on my clinic page because the goal was not to make that thing. People think like, oh, I'm just have a clinic page and it's going to grow astronomical. Look at all of the people in our industry. There's very, very few clinic pages that have an insane amount of followers. More than likely, they bought their followers, which I know a few. I'd love to call them out right here and there, but I know clinic pages that have it. It doesn't make sense. They post a review, they get 3 likes, and you're like, you have 10,000 followers. It's fishy. But
Right.
you have to know what you're doing. If your goal is to grow your clinic page, but your clinic is a logo and it has 3 different doctors under it, and there's no brand or there's no personality behind that. People follow for a person, a brand, someone that they like. I'll give an example too. I on my personal page, I've posted treatment videos, and the first shot was a patient doing something. When someone's scrolling, they don't know what that is. They don't care. They go next. It's not what my style of reels or posts are. That's
hmm
for my clinic page. That's just to make the people in the area aware of what rebuilt is. Now I do a terrible job. I don't post on that account much. I've gotten lazy with it because it's different. You have to record stuff in the clinic. I don't like doing that. It's
hmm
very hard, but you have to know where again, you're going to post your reviews on there. You're going to post maybe, hey, happy Easter. Hey, we're not in this day. That doesn't go on your personal page because none of those posts are going to kick and go viral or go to the explore page or going to get shared. Nobody's sharing that stuff. No one's sharing your reviews unless it's the patient themselves. So if
hmm
you think you're going to grow your page, you're going to post treatment videos, reviews, holiday stuff, whatever. That's just personal for the clinic. That is not a strategy to grow a page. And you'd probably agree with
Yeah.
that.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say you want to limit how much you're even collaborating. So if you have both of those pages, you don't want to collaborate every single thing you're posting, especially on your personal one.
No,
And when we say
makes sense.
personal, we're talking about personal professional, not like your page that you had since high school, which you can turn into a
You could
professional
convert
page.
it.
We talked about
Yeah, you
that.
could convert it. Yeah, and you made a great point about like collaborating and everything. People go like, "Oh, I'm gonna collaborate with my clinic page and everything." One, we know collaborations can hurt engagement big time. I collaborated with KT Tape, and our reach was not great. We both have, I mean, we had 170,000 followers combined. You and I have done that, where it's like, "Ooh, reach isn't always there." Collaboration
hmm
isn't always the key. Now, if you want to sprinkle some stuff in, I do some collaborations with my personal branded page in my clinic, just so people can see that I also treat patients. So
Yep.
there's a time and a place every once in a while, but no, it's not going to be your like crazy. This post is going to go viral, so I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to shove it in people's faces. Like you can put your clinic page in your bio. So if someone's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I really like Kyle's content. Like, what's he about? Oh, is it what's this link to a different page? Oh, that's his clinic page. Oh, here's where he's located. I'm in the area." Boom, you can get a potential lead like that, but you don't want to force that onto people that don't want it.
And this comes back to setting what your goal is. Is your goal social media to grow your clinic, or is your goal to grow your online platform? It's
Hmm.
very important because I've had people recently reach out to me like, "Hey, do you know a good someone that does what you do in the Chicagoland area?" I was like, "I am in the Chicagoland area. I don't promote it much, and but I'm okay with that because I'd rather people just want to engage with my content and whether it's purchasing a program, whatever,
Hmm.
versus just trying to build the clinic, the local stuff. The local is almost like I hate to say you don't need a ton of social media for all your local stuff. Getting out in events and doing all these things is actually way better for local. If you think you're going to post on your clinic social media page and you're going to grow your local following, you're probably wrong. That isn't the case. No one even knows sometimes
Hmm.
that I have my clinic page, and I'm okay with that because my goal is to build my online brand.
Yeah, and that goes into why do you have these pages in the first place? Like you admitted you have a clinic page and maybe you neglect posting on that, but talking to you and people listen to us, well hopefully they listen to us. You are more focused on your personal page because you have brand deals now, you have
Right.
other things that you're working through that. And if you're pretty content where you're at in practice, obviously that's the odd man out, so you kind of shoo that off to the side. Now, ideally, you'd like to do both, but if you're looking for to get like new patients, honestly, I don't even think social media is a good place to get new patients unless you're running ads. But
Right.
it's a good way to get re-engagement where you can show some treatment stuff on your clinic page, and then you're a patient that's already seen you and followed you because they already know who you are. They're like, oh wait, this guy treats knees. I saw him for a neck issue, and then boom, you get a new injury on your schedule. So that's where I think like a clinic page is very, very valuable, especially on Instagram.
Right. It's just not what's going to grow your online brand. They're two separate things. If you can differentiate brick and mortar from online stuff, you'll win. Because I encourage people go look at my page. I have 27 posts and like 1,200 followers. And honestly, most of them just follow when I open the page because I was on my personal going, hey, go follow this. My other one, 870 something posts, 67,000 followers. Where do I put more of my time and energy? Because that's what my goal is. I will over time put more energy to a clinic page. If I get that thing up to 10,000, awesome, but it's probably because I have all these people at my personal one funneling over. It's not
Mhm.
personally because I'm growing that clinic page, like doing the same things that we're talking about. It's just not the same application. Look at all businesses you follow. Very few have more than maybe 2,000 followers over years of time. And it all depends on what they do. But you're not just
Right.
going to get a lot of people randomly following a clinic page because they want to see treatment videos. People really don't like, oh, I don't have neck pain. Why would I follow you doing only neck adjustments all day long? There's a time and place. Or like people that go and do all the funny stuff, they think like doing the funny like clinic reels is like the way to go. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Maybe that's for like your local people, but that's not going to grow your brand.
Yeah, with someone with experience with that. I mean, that's when I first started on social
Oh
media
yeah,
years ago
we
when
all
the
did.
when the trending audios were in. Um, those were a hit. Actually, they were just a hit for not bringing in new patients, but patients would come in and be like, "Oh my gosh, your
Yeah,
reel is so funny." Like it keeps patient morale up. So then you build more trust with who you
right.
already know, and then obviously that's where it comes into keeping those people engaged because those are the people that are already seeing you. So it's way easier to get someone to come to your clinic who's already been there to then opposed to getting someone completely new.
Right. And this is, I get this question a lot of people who run, they have a clinic, they run their clinic page, like, I want to grow on social media. I go, great, don't use your clinic page then. Like, you need to
Hmm.
grow you. You are selling you. I'm not selling rebuilt strength and rehab to online. Like, KT Tape didn't be like, oh, hey, here, put it on this page. No, on your personal one because people trust you. They know your brand, what you do. The clinic is a separate entity, and I don't want that to be the big thing that blows up because that doesn't make there's no face on it. Like you look, you can't actually even be verified unless your face is on there. Right.
Right.
So I can't even go and verify my clinic page. It doesn't have a face. It doesn't have, no one knows. I'm not putting it. So again, you have to know what you're doing. I encourage people to have both and grow that personal brand like your life depends on it. The clinic's there to supplement, and you'll get people over time. Everyone always is like, they're patients that already I treat that then follow my clinic page. I have very few
Mhm.
that now have seen my clinic page and become a patient, which I'm fine with. There's so many more ways to bring in patients and keep engagement. And actually, people know me from the area because of my personal page. Like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, I've seen
exactly.
your stuff. That's fine. And then you know what? If they become a patient, they'll become a patient. People will ask you, hey, you do this stuff. How can I work with you? Oh, you have a clinic. Awesome. Like, it's gonna happen. You don't have to stress about it.
Yeah, and that's some good points you were bringing up where it depends on what your goal is. So for my professional page, I have, 126,000 followers. People would be like, "Oh my goodness, are people lining up at your clinic to see you?" It's like, no, because I don't promote that. I'm not growing that to get more patients in person. That's to grow my online business. So, I mean, have I gotten people from it? Of course, but like
Right.
that's not the primary goal. So that's not the metrics I'm focused on. So that's
Right.
where if you want to get more people in the door, you're going to be doing that more on your clinic page. And you could do that through treatments and things like that. But again, it's a totally separate thing. But we see too often is you just have your clinic page and you're just putting your face on there showing, tips with exercises or stretches. It's like, yeah, that's not going to grow because no one's going to, they're going to click on that and be like, oh, this is just some random clinic in, Wisconsin or something. No reason for me to follow that. But if you had your own
Right.
professional page where it was you and people liked you and then you were the brand, they're more likely to follow you and then engage with your content.
And a lot of only local people are really going to follow your clinic page. I wouldn't follow a clinic page unless it's like a buddy of mine. Like, I'm not going to follow a clinic
Mhm.
page out in California if I'm a patient because I can't ever go there and do that. Why would I follow and see that? So the percentage is a lot lower. It's really just setting what you want. Another thing to note is if you have a clinic page, you post a review, right? People love doing that. That's not a bad thing. But how many likes does that realistically get? Very few. The engagement rate is very, very low. Well, guess what? You're not getting bumps in the algorithm. You're not getting a lot of shares. You're not getting a lot of engagement. Instagram sees that and doesn't promote you as much, right? I've never
Mhm.
had a picture like, I don't get a picture that goes viral. That's not a thing. You don't get a review. No one's sharing like, oh my God, Stacy's no longer has back pain after 4 visits. Let everybody share that. It's just a time and a place. I
Yeah.
don't get where people have the disconnect.
Well, and that's where there's nothing wrong with posting
No.
testimonials. I mean, I always preach the big three T's when it comes to your clinic page. You could do obviously testimonials, you could do your
Mhm.
treatments so people can see what you're
Right.
doing. And then your third is your tips, which you can occasionally collab with your professional page, but I just wouldn't do it
Yeah.
every single time. And then that helps keep people that already know and trust you in the trust.
Mhm.
So then when they have that
Right.
issue or they throw their back out or whatever it may be, boom,
Mhm.
they're coming in right away. But I wouldn't think of having a clinic page and thinking I want to get it to 10,000 followers. Well, why would you even
No.
want to do that in the first place? That doesn't even make sense. If anything, you would want people that are coming in, you can have stuff like in your lobby, like, hey, follow us
Mhm.
here if you want to see, tips, that thing and the other thing. That should be a slower growth because it's people that probably already know you and especially know you in person. So unless you're a chiropractic mill where you got hundreds of patients a week, you're going to be growing slower on that, and that's totally normal. Don't expect it to grow
Mhm.
because it's a local page.
Right. Also, everyone would probably know that you probably know this. How much of a pain in the ass is it to sit there and record treatment videos all day long? I got the camera on the tripod. I'm like, hey, let's get this. Like, it takes away from the patient encounter. It's way
Hmm.
more work. You have to have the right patient, the right case. Because what if I'm only recording the same person over and over? That doesn't look good. It's only ankle stuff I've been recording for the last 3 weeks. It's
Yep.
way harder. You're not going to have the context. You might be like, oh my God, I have to record a patient day and then cut it all up and post it. You can't bulk that stuff. And if you do, now guess what? You're just recording all day with people. And it's not ideal. You have to know the right patients, the right,
Hmm.
it's too much. So at time and place, I need to do it maybe a little more just to show what kind of goes on. But it's a lot more work. you can't batch that stuff. I've never been like, let me go record 9 videos with patients today. It's not happening, especially if you're new. If you're a new clinician, how many patients are you seeing in a day and how many are you going to record? It's almost impossible to come up with that much content.
Yeah, you almost have to build it in. And
Yes.
a lot of times, like I've done that before when I was running more of the clinic page where you either schedule it into your pre-existing schedule, and then usually you just trade the service. So like, hey, come in, I'll treat you for free if you let me, film a couple things, especially if you work with like local trainers or even like young athletes, especially like high school
Right.
athletes. They're usually pretty down for that. So it doesn't hurt to
That's
have that
that's a good
content.
thing. No, that's a good thing to collaborate on, right? Like if you work with like a local gym or an Orange Theory or like some other business owner, collaborate your pages together on your clinic one. That's great because that's all the local people you want to bring to that. On your personal page, don't worry about that.
Mhm.
That's all clinic based stuff. So, and I know we're talking very specific niche, like people who are clinicians that do this stuff, but if you can already differentiate that, you're going to have a leg up on this and you're going to have faster growth, I think, at least personally.
Yeah. Yep. And again, it goes into why you do it in the first place. I
Mhm.
just think if you have a clinic page, just don't even think about growing it. It'll just grow over time as you see more people in person, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't put any effort into it. Again, obviously, we preach trying to grow an online business so you can practice, less and have more freedom.
Right.
So that's where you even admitted, hey, I don't really do much with my clinic page, but you have a higher goal in mind. So you don't want something to take away from your time, especially if you're already full in practice. Now, if you're just starting out and people think of like, because we're chiropractors, people think you just adjust people. Then when you have more time in your schedule, it's probably easier to film some treatment stuff, and then you could just stockpile that so then you can kind of slowly drip it out over time, which is what I would recommend.
Agreed. So I think this is a pretty quick one for everyone. We don't have to spend much more
Mhm.
time going over this, but know what your goals are, know what page you're going to post it on, and where you're going to spend more of your time.
Ye-
You get way more benefit. Yeah. Cut that line down.
Yep, you gotta keep them separated. And again, like if you did like a movement tip, you can collab like once, twice a month. There's nothing wrong with drawing people to you because if you have a following online, then of course you can kind of let them know, hey, this is where I'm at in person, and then you could get new patients from that. I mean, from where we're at, we've already been practicing a few years, so I'm not like foaming at the mouth to get new patients at this point. But again, it just depends on where you're at and what season you're in at the same time. So you can be a little strategic if you want to try to funnel people in. It just, again, why are you doing it? It just has to make sense with what your goals are.
And this might be a separate topic, but I think in terms of collaboration, a lot of people think this collaboration thing is like the key to growing your page. I get people ask me all the time, let's collaborate together because you have all this. They think because you have a lot of followers, they're going to get a bunch. I've collaborated with
Oh,
pages that have 200,000 followers. Guess how many I get? Like 3? That's not what collaborations are for. It's just to maybe show more people your content, but they are not the
mhm,
key. So if you think, oh, I'm going to grow my clinic page or my brand or my clinic and then I'm going to funnel them all over, I'm the best example. I have 67,000 out my clinic page. I have under 1,200 on there. And again, because I don't put a
mhm.
lot of content in that, but it's not just like a guarantee. No one's just like going through my recent reel that I tagged my clinic in. I have like almost 10,000 likes. I maybe got like 5 followers out of that. So again,
Yeah,
you got to
but that's a
understand what the goal
realistic
is.
number.
Yes, yes, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But people think that's like the key. Like, oh, if I grow one, I'm gonna funnel them all over. That's the panic too. What people have, they go like, if you made me start my personal page over again right now, I it would be so emotionally draining. It's it doesn't just work. Like you just take everyone and funnel them over. Like I opened a YouTube channel. How many people go over there? Not as many. I have a TikTok that has 300 followers. I have
Oh, yeah.
67,000 here. It doesn't equate. So you have to put the work in depending on what you're doing. So, anyways, off my soapbox.
Abs Absolutely. No, that was a good soapbox. This was gonna be a pretty straightforward episode, but just think in terms of if you have a clinic page and you wanna grow that, well, why do you wanna grow that? Do you wanna get more patients? Honestly, you're gonna get more new patients by doing more local stuff than doing anything online from my
Right.
experience. So, yeah, think local clinic, just in that area, and then try to get new patients or existing patients to follow you to keep them warm. So when you post once a week or twice a week, it's usually a lower volume for your clinic page. Then, they're like, oh, hey, Mitch showed this cool treatment. And then they DM you like, oh, would this be good for me? And be like, oh,
Right.
absolutely. I've worked with you before. You could definitely use this. Like, that's where you can kind of get people into the door that
Right.
way.
Now, quick
And then
thing on that
obviously,
is,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say at first people aren't gonna you're not gonna get a lot of patients from your personal branded page. Because at first I didn't. Once I start growing, you get over that 10,000, 20,000 mark. Now I'm getting a lot more draw locally because people are sharing it. They're seeing, oh wow, this guy has all these followers or this verified page. Then you do. So initially you don't grow it. You're not gonna get a lot of patient referrals from that. Over time, as you
Mhm.
become a more known figure and face, then this is the key. So don't expect you're gonna get a ton of patients, but over time you actually might. If I get more patients from my personal than my clinic account, so it just depends on where you're at in that journey. At first, you're not going to get any from it, but you start growing and growing and growing. Everyone sees that page now, and I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, and well, again, that goes into strategy. Like if I wanted to see more people in person, I would put like the clinic I work at in my bio. I'd put like
Mhm.
Detroit, Michigan, so people know where I'm
Right,
located. And
right.
after my content, I'd probably put call to actions like, oh, back pain,
Mhm.
book with
Yeah,
me with the link in the bio. So I haven't done any of that because that's not why I'm trying to grow my brand.
mhm.
But again, if you want to fill your current schedule, there's nothing wrong with that. But I would argue
Right.
if you want to grow an online brand, the more that you spill over into your practice, the busier you are there, the less you can work on this online thing that's going to ultimately get you where you want to go as far as working less and making more.
You nailed it. All right, I think we cut it there.
I was going to say
We
that
can
was
go on all day.
a good little mic drop, but yep, that was
Beautiful.
probably our quickest episode. Yeah, maybe we're getting better at this.
Cut it there. 22 minutes. See you
All
next
right,
time.
peace.